Hello, Internet. Welcome to a very bright, sunshiny, as in sunshine in my face, Florida early evening. Welcome to the channel, everyone who has been here before, and also welcome to anyone new who is joining me for the first time. My name is Gina, otherwise known as Ginger Dash, and I tend to post weekly on Thursday evenings. Every now and then I'll skip one, but this is not one of those weeks. And as you have seen by the title, I am here today because I had someone pose a question to me recently that got me to thinking. Not that it's the first time I've thought about it, but I'll start off and then I will swing around to the actual question that's in the title here today. All right, so while we're waiting for traffic, I'm just going to address this right now. I am not saying that if you are a long-time rider who's been on the road for decades, meaning you're in your 60s or 70s or even beyond, and you have been riding, that anything I'm about to say about age-related riding questions pertains to you. And the reason I said that is because I believe there is a distinction. I think that when you've been riding for a long time, decades, many decades in a lot of cases, you have acquired years and years of muscle memory to assist you in operating a motorcycle safely. But the question then is it ever too late? Can you ever be too old to learn to ride a motorcycle? And I think that there are a lot of ways that you can look at that question. But the first point would be, are you physically capable of handling a motorcycle? Are you physically fit? I don't mean you have to be a gym rat or muscle bound, regardless of your age, but you have to be capable physically of managing a motorcycle. Next up would be, do you have good reflexes? Are you coordinated naturally? And finally, what is something I know that is very important for us as we age is, what's your mental acuity like? The reason I bring that up is because I was watching a video, this has been several months ago, on Jerry Palladino, Ride Like a Pro, his YouTube channel, and he talked about the fact that he had a gentleman who was in his mid-70s, I believe, who came out to take his class. And he wasn't discriminating against the gentleman, and he was welcome to take the class, but very quickly after starting the class, the gentleman dumped his bike on at least one or two occasions, and he wasn't capable of picking it up himself. He also was not capable of handling the U-turns and things that he works on, the skills, the reason you take that class. And as bad as, is that where I want to turn? And as much as Jerry Palladino didn't want to send the man on his way, he also knew that he had a certain responsibility to not encourage someone who was perhaps, or most likely, past the age of being capable of riding a two-wheeled motorcycle. That is not to say that if you reach a point in your life where your strength is not quite as good as it used to be, that you couldn't consider riding a trike or buying a Can-Am or something like that. I also know there are plenty of people who purchase those when they're younger just because they're fun. They're fun vehicles. So there are options. But I want to speak now to the women and certainly the men, but I'm a female, so I'm coming at this from my perspective. When you have gone through various stages of your life, you spent your childhood learning, you spent your 20s and 30s perhaps getting married, having children, you spent your 30s and 40s, maybe even your 50s raising those children and then sending them off to make their own adult lives, and you reach a point, perhaps like I did, where you look around and say, you know, there are things that I would have liked to have done when I was younger. Is it possible I could do some of those things now? And the one thing in particular that I wanted to do was ride a motorcycle. And so I will be honest, I never really worried about whether I was too old to ride a motorcycle, because first of all, I don't believe that I am, but I know that society has a lot of things to say about people as they age. You know, as we age, we are considered less capable in many ways, which is all a bunch of crap. But nonetheless, it is a belief, or a long-held belief, that I think is held less tightly now than it used to be. But all the same, society used to say, and this has been quite some time back, but society used to be happy to tell women that when they hit middle age, they should automatically cut their hair because long hair is not appropriate for an older woman. You should wear elastic waistband pants, orthopedic shoes, and sweater sets only. Yes, I'm stating a stereotype, but there are still people who think if you are of the age to be a grandparent, whether you are one yet or not, that means you should just stop living, take no risks, experience nothing new. And I am here to say that is simply not true. And if you allow people to dictate what it is that you are permitted to do, what is considered appropriate, then you will simply sit and waste away, and you will become an old person. A recent comment on one of my videos, it may have even been on my first video, I'm not certain now, was, don't you think this is just a midlife crisis? I laughed like that because, yeah, I thought it was funny. And I proceeded to answer that person, and I will tell you now my answer. I did not defend my choice because no one is entitled to a defense of the choices I make. I don't have to defend anything. I don't have to justify anything to anyone. But here is my answer to that. What I would define a crisis as is something that is, or specifically a midlife crisis, if that is such a thing, would be decisions made in a rash manner, without logic, without planning, and that hurt you or others in your life. That is just such a ridiculous question. And if you think me answering it is me being defensive about it, I would say no. It is just interesting to me that so many people feel they must come up with a term to explain something that they personally cannot understand. And I would say that in many cases, the reason someone attacks your choices, in this case, buying a motorcycle at 50, although I'm not 50 anymore, you know, as of 2 weeks ago, I was 51. So I reached another milestone. People attack with words because they themselves may be unhappy in their own lives. And so they feel it's necessary, why am I turning? They feel it's necessary to perhaps rain on your parade. And, you know, hey, that's how you got to do it. You be you, but keep your negativity off my channel. Is there anything special about learning to ride a motorcycle at 50? In your 50s, in your 40s? And I've had so many people, let me tell you, the number of men and the women are the ones that just give me a special thrill when they log on and they leave a comment on my page, comment on my channel. I always say page, I don't know why, about how either A, they started their motorcycling journey at a similar time as I did, or they were inspired seeing someone of a similar age doing something that they had always wanted to do. Now, first of all, I'm not out here saying that everyone should ride a motorcycle, male or female. If you want to, if that's something that interests you, then if it's possible and you're capable, then absolutely I encourage you to give it a go. I am not ever going to say that motorcycling is for everyone, because it simply isn't. We don't all have the same interests in life. But I will say this. The old adage that age is just a number is true up to a certain point. If you have never ridden a motorcycle and you want to learn, and you are in your 40s or 50s or 60s or even beyond, you are physically capable and you have confidence, even if you have some anxiety to start, then if it has value to you, if it is something you have longed for, I encourage you to do it. If you don't think a motorcycle is something you should attempt, but you still want to do something similar, buy a scooter. There's nothing wrong with the scooter. Scooter is only a derogatory term if you think it is, and it's not. Buy a three-wheeled motorcycle, a trike, buy a Can-Am, like I mentioned earlier. Buy something that is more stable. But don't just give up because society says you've reached a certain age and you're only allowed to do certain things, because that's a bunch of crap. That's how I feel about it. That is all I have for you this week. I hope you will come back and join me next time. And I hope the weather starts to warm up everywhere, because it's definitely starting to get more and more balmy here in Central Florida. Until next time, y'all have a good one.